Okay. Dr. Browne,
Yes.
Steve Vera.
Yes.
Okay. And it's a good opportunity to do something here. And we're going to start talking about Editora Campamocha.
Editora Campamocha.
And so can you tell me a little bit about when it started and you know, how it got going and all that?
Well, Editora Campamocha is a small press. It's a small publishing house, recently established. I think it was only about 4 years ago that we got started. And we're dedicated mainly to publishing original literary works in Spanish, especially local works by local authors. Though we also publish in other languages, and as a matter of fact, we have the my series, the Polyglot series, which has samples of my work translated into many different languages already in 5 different volumes, and I'm working on the 6th one right now.
Okay.
But it's mainly, the main idea of Editora Campamocha is to publish in Spanish and local writers of Thailand.
Okay. Now, in this country, in the U.S., of course, English has been so dominant. And so really, it is great that we need to place more of an emphasis to bring Spanish into the U.S. more and more and more, every opportunity that we can. And that connects us to Mexico better.
Yeah.
It will provide a bridge to Mexico, which we need more and more all the time, considering what's been going on between the two countries and the political and, well, the problems that we've been having.
Well, my take there is we need to stop viewing Mexicans or Latin Americans as the other, and if we learn the language, we're going to cease to have that perception of them.
So we need, part of the thing then that Editora Campamocha should do, in addition to publishing writers that are already very proficient in Spanish, is encourage others who are not quite as proficient to attain a level of Spanish, you know.
Well, I think our very existence could help to foment an interest in writing and in the language.
Exactly, and that would be very important, especially considering what's been going on between the two countries. It can provide a valuable bridge.
Yeah.
Now, one thing too that can provide an additional bridge is it would be great to have more writers in Editora Campamocha who live in Mexico.
Yeah.
Now, that, unfortunately, so far, we've only had, as far as I know, one writer, Victor
Trevino.
González Trevino, who is from Reynosa. You know, he is the only writer that I personally know of that has been. So there aren't very many writers from Mexico there that or live in Mexico. They may have been from Mexico before, but now they're living in the U.S. So that's something we need to reach out to these writers.
Yeah, we ever want to reach out to them or recruit them or
find ways of connecting with them to get them interested in publishing in Editora Campamocha, so we can have more writers that live in Mexico.
Yeah, I think that would be a long-term goal of ours. And
for sure.
We do attempt to connect. We do attempt to publish those people.
And we'll continue to attempt to connect. And we will be able to succeed in that endeavor.
Well, the writers are out there.
It will happen. The writers are there. All we need to do is just, once it's known, they will be interested. And that will be another bridge between this country and Mexico, which I think will be really good.
Once you see all the talent that's out there in cities like Reynosa and Matamoros.
Yes, absolutely. Which are just right here close by.
Exactly.
So to get them involved, it shouldn't be that difficult. We just need to make the effort.
Exactly.
Another thing now, now, Editora Campamocha has published anthologies of work by different writers. And how many anthologies have been published? The first one was?
The first one was... what was the first anthology we published? La primera antología que publicamos, ¿te acuerdas?
La antología La Ruta de los Juglares.
La Ruta de los Juglares. That was the one I gave you today. It was, there were less. I think it was a first attempt. It was more of a minor publication because that's when we were first starting.
And it was small. It's a rather slim volume.
It's a slim volume.
But it's a beginning. And you have to start somewhere. And that was the good beginning to Editora Campamocha.
And then we published 3 others.
Exactly.
So, and this isn't about a 3-year span, so we're really not doing that.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
This is our most recent one. It's,
Antología Otoñal.
yeah, it's fairly thick. These
Which
are the
means
authors.
the autumn and
The autumn anthology. We just posted some of the reading. It's on my channel. They're there on here on my channel on the YouTube. Many of these people are there.
Okay, that's
And you can see it's a thick volume. Let's look at the number of pages. It's 288 pages.
so it has developed
288
a
pages.
lot since
Yeah.
its beginning. It started out with this very modest, slim production
Exactly.
of writers who are not necessarily that mature.
Yeah.
And now we have some real mature, strong writers in this
Exactly.
last one.
So
And
very
the one
strong
prior
writers.
to this one was fairly mature, not quite as thick as this volume, but
Yeah.
it was also a pretty good one,
Yeah.
which was La Antología Canicular.
Which would be the Dog Days Anthology.
The Dog
The
Days
translation of
Anthology.
Canicular.
And then prior to La Antología Canicular, there was the Antología
Invernal.
Invernal. That one was about maybe about the same size as La Canicular, maybe a little bit smaller.
Yeah, it has some
It
good
is-
stuff in it.
And it's, yeah. But the Canicular was, you could see the progression. That
Right.
it has developed and it has become a quality production.
Exactly, and then we see that one thing we were discussing, you and I, is a great diversity of not only of the genres and different voices, but of the Spanish language itself.
Exactly.
We have the Spanish of Juan Antonio Gonzalez, which is this very
Which is
elevated,
very erudite
type of Spanish, and we have a popular Tejano type Spanish,
which is the Spanish that's the day-to-day,
right,
everyday
that you would
kind of
hear every day
Spanish
here in the
on
valley,
street.
but it's being used for writing poetry, for writing social poetry, protest poetry, and that's Arnaldo Galvan's poetry. So we see the enormous range of the Spanish language as spoken or used in this area.
And so that's very good because it's quite representative of what you can find in the area.
Yes.
And that's really a very good thing. I recognize several of the writers. I've connected, some of them are personal friends of mine.
Yeah, Nettle, could you tell us a little bit about Brendan Nettles?
Brenda Nettles Riojas is the co-founder of the Valley International Poetry Festival,
The co-founder.
which will be taking place starting April the 26th this year. And it will have a range of poets that some of them are very monolingual, mainly dominantly English, and others are more comfortable in Spanish. And it'll have the full range of poets, all the way from those who are comfortable in English, then those that are fully bilingual, to those that are more comfortable in Spanish. And so you'll see that full range of how language is expressed in our area.
And there's a cohabitation of those different areas in the gamut and in the linguistic spectrum.
And yes,
you see
exactly.
the cohabitation.
And it is a festival that will take place throughout the valley in many venues, all the way from as far west as Mission to as far east as Port Isabel and Brownsville.
Wow, so it's
And it takes place
embracing
over,
a lot of territory.
yes, over at least a 3-day period over the weekend. So that's significant.
Fantastic.
And unfortunately, to date, as far as I know, we have not been able to engage enough writers who live in Mexico.
Yes.
So we're making the effort to try to get them involved.
Okay. Why don't we make a second video? Why don't we close this one?
Yes,
Vamos a parar
that's-
esto y hacer